what people don't really understand is that mindset isn't part of the thing. Mindset is the only thing. And the reasons why I say it like that specifically is because you have people out here who have unfortunately devalued that word mindset, right? And the reality of it is a little bit about my background. When I was in the Marine Corps, the way that I moved in the combat zones, it was literally life or death. And what I did specifically in the Marine Corps was much like we did, Nathan, where it's data, but this data's for keeps. I had to collect information. I had to figure out what to say, what to not say, how to distribute it, where to distribute it to, when to distribute it to, who to distribute it to, why I should distribute it at that point in time. And again, when you're dealing with that kind of high level information, the reality of it is we tend to lose focus. So if there's one piece of advice I had to give everybody for this year going to next year, or even just throw away the years, literally live your life second by second and understand that what you're doing can and will affect others. It's no different than that drop of water, Nathan, like you talked about for as far as the organic marketing game goes. It's just like that drop of water that hits that pool of water and then it spreads out. And that's the one of the things as far as how organic marketing works that a lot of people don't understand. They think it's some ominous weird thing. But unless you're able to really focus and stick in your lane and understand that you are the drop of the water in the ocean, then what happens is you tend to make it more mystical than what it is. You know what I'm saying? I think I've worked with practically every one of you one on one for a good amount of time, and we've been able to generate results together. But so once you get done the organic marketing part and you start dialing things in, the next question is, well, how do we really promote it? How do we really distribute it? Like, what do these channels look like? And one of the other biggest myths that are out there is that people think that marketing is like an ominous department. Marketing to me is something that you actually embody every single day. And it starts with the words, those words that are either coming out your mouth, the words that are hitting those pieces of paper, the words that are just being shot here and there via ads, whatever it is, it's a word. So if we're able to really keep it that amazingly simple, you'll start seeing your progress because now we have to attach words to numbers. And from there, we start stacking things up if this is making sense. If not, then just let me know because I want everybody today to start really doing two things. The first one is to really get that mind set. It's two words to me, it's not one, because again, thoughts are things. If we look at Napoleon Hill, I'm a fan of God. I believe in God. You don't have to be a person who believes in God, like I was telling you before. It's just agnostic. But the reality of it is some type of faith in order to know it for a fact that we're putting those steps out there with the expectation that they are going to manifest is part of the whole process. And again, I'm going to give you another example. Guys, you're going to hear me say this over and over again. It's no differently than an architect who builds a building. They get the idea, they think through it, they write it down on a piece of paper called the blueprint, and from there, they market it to people who can actually build that building or design if they aren't already commissioned. And then these people build it out for them because in most cases they can't they can't like build the whole building by themselves. But this is literally the process. This is all I got. Like anybody understands that in the high level marketing and advertising world, what they do is called wireframing. So if you haven't heard of the concept of wireframing, what wireframing is the exact same thing. They think through the concept, they structure it out, they figure out who's it for, who's it not for, and they build that one single lane to get that traffic that they need. And this is how people get to the fastest path to cash. This is the reasons why your message has to have so much relevance, especially in a world of noise today. Because the reality of it is everybody's vying for those eyeballs. And again, a little bit about my background. I was held to a secret level clearance to be able to understand like how to move, how to think a certain way, how to be a certain way. You follow me? So now people can do this on their cell phone. Anybody can run an ad on a cell phone right now if you got like $5 or $6 a day, right? But just because you got the money doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to connect with your audience. So this is the whole reasons why Audience Roadmap was created, was just for this reason, was to get people to understand that it's literally crawl, walk, run, then marathon. And from there, we're able to figure out, hey, where's our lane? Some people are starting on the marathon level. They're watching people who are already out here, who've been out here for 20 years, spending like $3 million a month in ads. and they're expecting to have that kind of level of competency. That's no different than going to the gym and trying to bench press 400 pounds for a warm up, and you've never even hit the silver weights yet, if that makes sense. So we really have to focus. We have to calibrate our mindset, and we have to be able to really understand what is our offer when somebody says yes. Like that dog is always chasing the car. And this is what I see with a lot of startups. They're always chasing that car. They're always in startup mode. They're always up in startup mode. But you have to literally put a timeline to say, hey, I want to hit this by this time. I need this amount of people. They need to speak this way because this is my message and this is how it has to be that super specific in order for you to generate any types of results or to get any type of statistic. Does that make sense, or is that crazy or is that weird? I want some feedback on this one.
No, that makes sense. It's super helpful too. That framework is just really getting just that simple because it is that bare bones. It's that easy to kind of absorb and understand, and it should be. I think I have a tendency to overcomplicate things, and so I'm going to work really just immediately after this call because that is my organic marketing time that I've blocked off on my calendar at just getting that simple, and then just writing and posting stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And let's talk about that a little bit more because if you're open to coaching right now, I want to coach you through some things.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So what I heard also was you're talking about how you get in your own way, where there is a skill of getting out of your own way. And the magic behind that is literally asking yourself this one question. And that one question is, what exactly do you want? And here's the problem with that question, though. Depend upon where you're at in your life, other people are thinking other things. So, as an example, some people say, hey, I just want money. Okay, great. How many people did you talk to today? Do you have your credit card processor ready? Are you able to, if somebody actually, you actually, somebody says yes, are you able to get that money right now? Or are you just really dreaming and thinking about it and you have no offer, no nothing? You follow me? This is one of the reasons why if you don't have something, doing affiliate marketing is typically one of the best ways to do it. I've just been around for a long time, so I show people how to specifically take their intellectual property and really make it super specific so that that audience wants and needs it, right? There's a whole process involved with that. But there are several different ways to actually get out to market. But the key thing is you have to ask yourself, what specifically do you want? How much time do you really have to do it? That's another thing as well. Because if this is really your business, then busyness does not equal to business. Business is actually dialing, getting those words right, making sure your thoughts are organized, making sure you're getting something out to the marketplace that people want and need. And that requires a level of focus. So like when I was in the car industry, as an example, that 100 calls per day minimum is still
Mhm.
is still something that works to this day. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. So we have to understand, am I am I in an industry? Am I trying to talk to people too broadly? What's the actual specific languaging of that industry? Because that helps when we go to communicate directly or run ads. As an example, some people say you shouldn't speak jargon. I 100% disagree with that because the reality of it is, if I'm not speaking your language, then how do I know that you're really the real deal? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I can run an ad right now to automotive salespeople and go, hey, are you tired standing on the point waiting for another up and you're still trying to high gross people and and you follow me? Like I just said three things that you probably wouldn't know the actual what that means unless you're actually in the industry. You follow
Mhm.
me? So
Right.
understanding and embracing that is actually a strength because through time, what happens is you'll go from one industry to the next, to the next, to the next, and then you'll see a more broader message that you can start speaking, but you need to get your money first. You follow me?
Right.
Some
Yeah.
people are trying to be everything to everybody too fast. And the problem with that is just that unless you got a huge bankroll to support that, your ad costs are going to go up. You won't be able to talk to people directly the way that you need to. And your organic marketing won't be on point because you're not really resonating in the marketplace with even if you have the coolest story on the planet, the reality of it is it's not hitting. It's just not going to work. And there are very few people on this planet who just start out so big where everybody just goes, "Hey, I identify with him. He's cool."
Mm.
Okay, you follow me? Like, is this making sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It goes back to the audience segmentation conversation that we had.
100%. So, why don't you tell a little bit of people about that conversation?
No, so the main takeaway of that conversation was just what actually is the way that we kicked off this conversation. Words and their weights and how powerful that they actually are. Because like you mentioned, whenever you speak somebody's language, it's like a dog whistle. It makes their ears stand up, and their hair stand up on the back of their neck. And more specifically, when we're talking about marketing, it's speaking to those pain points and that experience that's really they want to get out of, right? And then also speaking life into what could be and what they want to actually be. And so those were some of the main takeaways of that. I mean, I could spend another hour talking about that, but that was my main takeaway is just focusing in on those words and then just keeping it that simple as far as, we don't need to get into like all these uh well, eventually, like you mentioned, we do need to get into the numbers, but just all the fancy guru stuff that's oftentimes promoted about these tricks and these techniques. But it's really just a very focused intention on speaking to that specific person.
There you go. You stole the words right out my mouth because that was my next point was intention. But before we even go there, if this was the last time I ever had to talk to you in my life, I would simply say, hey, understand the power of your words. Now, people call that copywriting. So if you've never heard of that term before, all of your top level gurus 100% understand copywriting. They know how powerful it is. Some of them will take the copywriting and then form it into what we call propaganda. I'm just being real with you. And then from these higher level gaslighting things, they run ads and do all the other stuff and they're able to buy eyeballs. And just through attrition, sometimes people just don't know any better and they'll buy stuff. With our approach, it really is completely different. Understanding the mechanics of why you're saying something is something that these gurus just don't cover. So, as an example, whenever you're talking about like putting your words together, why are you saying what you're saying? Are you saying it because you heard somebody else say it? Are you saying it because you have a real story behind it? Because people value not only just experience, but they appreciate if you're able to articulate what you're saying in a way where clarity trumps persuasion. That's one of the reasons why when I'm talking to high level salespeople, as an example, they have all the high level training from all your famous gurus out there. They've taken all the sales training, they've taken all the negotiation training, and they hear me speak completely different, and they can't quite put their finger on who did I learn that from? It's like, well, I learned that from me because I'm grown. But the other thing is, I've talked to enough people to know that people just don't want to be manipulated. So, what we
Right.
have to do is really speak a certain language that's native to us. And then we're able to communicate who we are. And that's how you come across really being genuine and authentic, is because I have that intention every single day that before I utter one single word, is Fred really saying that? Let's give you another example. Actors learning a script. The reasons
Hmm.
why they get paid $20 million, $4 million, $10 million is because they have to embody that script and make it their own to make it seem like they're saying their words, but they're actually someone else's. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
It
If
makes
if
sense.
we've all taken some type of sales training, we've all at some point in time have gotten a script. We were supposed to say it word for word, and then it sounds
Hmm.
weird and awkward, and we're just like, I don't want to say that, right? It's
Hmm.
because it wasn't really our words to begin with. Now, some people who are just simply grinders, they need a script, and that's okay. It's nothing wrong with scripts, just for the record. What is wrong with it, though, is that if you try to take it, it's not yours, and it really doesn't feel right to you, it's going to come across. Whether you're writing, whether you're advertising, whether you're speaking, all of this stuff. I don't have a script right now. You follow me? This is just real world raw in your face. Like, hey, this is what it is. And I challenge you to go test it. Like, I don't want anybody to ever believe a word I say because that is lazy thinking. We have that example coming from Chat GPT as AI. What people don't realize is that, hey, a human being had to make this thing called artificial intelligence. So there were some really smart people who decided to build a machine because other people couldn't think. And so they needed to think faster, and so that's why people are asking me. They're just like, "Hey, will AI kind of get people out? AI will displace people. It won't replace people. So we have to go back to the fundamentals of how we think. We have to go back to the fundamentals of why do we think what we think, and then we have to understand, hey, is what we're thinking really going to resonate with the marketplace? And if so, how do I properly take what's in my head and build that bridge of here's how wide it is, here's how long it is, here's the exact words that I need to say so that I can bridge that gap from somebody who really needs my stuff.
Mm.
That's the game, period. It's no different than engineering. Any of you guys have been across a bridge, whether you drove there, walked there, or had a bus take you over it. You follow me? This is how the game of words is really played. We have to engineer and craft our messages so that they truly resonate and it really means something to somebody. Because I also work with a lot of high level artists, entertainers, celebrities, athletes, right? And they're just so way up there esoteric, and that's cool. You can be esoteric as much as you want, but is it paying the bills though?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like we can talk and we can plan, but it takes money to buy land. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So the reality of it is that's what we're working on is really understanding that it's mindset, it's focus, but it's also intention. And that's another key point. Any thoughts, questions? Fred's a psycho. Like, let's talk.
Yeah, it's right on, and thank you for that. That gave me some clarity in terms of being able to go out there and then try to produce results. Is just putting an emphasis on mindset, focus, and intention, and then just creating through that that mindset.
Yeah, but okay, so let's talk about that. What kind of results specifically? I know we just want people to speak up on this specific session. What result do you want right now?
Um, well, first off, I want to create money, and then like you said, you know, what comes before that, to me, it looks like conversations. It's just talking to people, right, and then talking more so um, to the actual problems that they have.
Okay, cool. So before we get started on getting money, is money the effect or is money the cause of your life? Is like all you think about is money, or like is there a real reasons why you want the money?
No, it's definitely, I mean, a real reason. Yeah.
Okay. So if you are you open to sharing that or you want to keep that low key?
No, yeah. So in the short term, my pops, he lost his job earlier in, I want to say, October. And so I'm looking to kind of step up, over the course of next year and really just, produce a whole lot and help my family out. Um, Aside from that, I mean, it's just long term, I want my life to have the maximum amount of impact. And so, like you mentioned earlier, Fred, I believe in God, and I believe that He's given us all um, different resources, different time. Most of us, we've all got the same level of faculties, and so I believe in maximizing the potential that we've been given. And resources comes down to money. So, for those reasons, is that's the reason I focus on money the way that I do.
Cool. So here's what I just heard. Again, you don't have to take any of this advice or belief or whatever, but you know enough that I know how people hire me to create thoughts out of thin air, right? What I just heard was basically you can have an offer for faith-based entrepreneurs who are looking to step in and helping out their family members with their current situations, and they need a process in order to do that. Like you can help other entrepreneurs create stuff that's going to help their families.
Yeah, yeah, and I know many people in that situation right now. So yeah,
Guess what? They're Nathan 1.0. So now you
yeah,
go back to that audience and go, hey, in the last 8 months, I've learned how to run a multiple six-figure monthly recurring revenue engine machine. And I have all of these strategies and processes designed so that you can take this exact knowledge base that I have and help people out with your gift to the world. If you're a faith-based entrepreneur, you're an expert, you're a coach, somebody who needs this kind of knowledge, click the link below to learn more, and I'll send you off my free report, the 3 steps to blah, blah, blah. There you go.
yeah,
You said
yeah.
you
No,
know
I
a
like
whole
that.
bunch of people like that, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
now
I do.
let's put them to the test. If you really know a whole bunch of people like that, will they get on your mailing list? Will
Hmm.
they invest 7, 17, $27 with you? Do they
Hmm.
need your help right now to where you can give them the 6K shortcut?
Yeah,
You follow me?
yeah,
We just crafted an offer out of thin air. And
yeah,
then again, that's the reasons why audience roadmap literally is designed the way that it is because we already have the 8-week program to facilitate that. It's
yeah,
all the same stuff. Gloria,
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you out now. Take your mic off mute. She's not her head like, no.
Listen, Fred, I want that recording. I wanna, that's a sales page you just did there for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's really how this sausage is made in real time, because we've done that. Nathan's watched me do that over and over and over behind the scenes with Audience Lab. Like, we've
Yeah.
had specific examples where sometimes the direction wasn't the way that we needed to go. So what we had to do was look at the data, figure out which direction to go, craft an offer, and it hit. This is how you craft offers that just don't miss, even if you don't have data. All you're working to really do is go back to your previous self and help that person out. And if there's enough volume to support it, that's how you craft your offers. That's how you start getting your organic marketing started. This is how everything starts, because again, I want my friends to go, "Hey Fred, your breath stinks," versus going, "Hey, I wasted $100,000 over here for this ad that didn't work when all I had to do was have my friends tell me, hey, your breath stink." You follow me? Like, last week, who did not see my book as far as making sure that that was going to hit? You follow me?
Mhm.
Some,
Yeah.
a lot of people saw the banner. I still haven't released a lot of that stuff, but the reality of it is I'm going to, because I'm still testing. You're always supposed to be testing. It's one thing to get the idea. It's another thing to actually put it out there in a marketplace to see if people need and they want it. But if we don't explain it in a certain way and be transparent and vulnerable and real with our stuff, then you won't you it's not going to hit right. As an example, like literally last night, I got finished up with Grant Cardone stuff. So I already sent that off to our mutual point of contact. Is going to start rolling out, and it's going to go viral. Why? Because this is a different side of Grant that nobody has seen before. He's talked about it, but everybody knows him from like the last maybe 5 to 10 years as him being a real estate guy. I know him from when he was an automotive guy, right? So all of these things he's seeing, and he's segmenting different parts of his life out in the marketplace, because there's a huge need and want in different areas for this kind of stuff. So all we have to do is look at the current models that are already out there that are winning. There's a difference between being original and being unique. You can be so original to the point where people can't identify and relate with you, which is the reasons why you have to have a relatable story, which is the reasons why you have to have words that connect. But you also cannot be so original to the point where it's just like, well, I hear you speaking English, but I really don't know what you're saying. Now,
Yeah.
walking into a crowded marketplace like sales, marketing, advertising, business development, any of those categories, right? Wealth, it's already saturated. Perfect. That means that there's a huge need and want for that, right? So now I go in there with my unique story that's different than Nathan's, that's different than Gloria's, that's different than Bob's. And all I'm doing is I'm getting my unfair share of a saturated market. And I'm going to do that with my specific story, because not everybody's going to like Fred Smith. Not everybody's going to like Nathan. Everybody's going to like Namisha. You follow me? So these are the things that we should be running to. And I learned that in the Marine Corps. Like in the Marines, the first 90 days is nothing but mindset. We're trained to be a U.S. Marine, period, end of story. Then we learn our job, because we're trained throughout those 90 days to run toward the firefight, not away from it. That's where the action is. I need to go over there to the action. Like, that's what I'm getting paid for. I'm getting over there to the action because I need to take somebody out, because we need to win. Like, that's how it works. You just there's no, I forget. I think T.A. out Webb. Don't kill me, Marines. We're watching this, but literally in the movie The DI, he says, "Hey, we're either the first ones to the fight, or we're the first dead ones. Take your pick." Right. So we have to understand that even in the marketing and advertising world, when you hear that word campaign, that is literally a military term. And most people forget that. That's why it's so important to understand the power of words, because words can win, words can heal, or words can hurt. And what you put out there is going to resonate. It doesn't matter whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. When you open up your mouth, or you open up your pen, or you hit that send button, or you speak, whatever, I can't just keep doing this for 45 minutes. I'm not Charlie Chaplin. And even then, he had subtitles. You know what I'm saying? So we need to be able to communicate in a way where people really understand our DNA. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that you need to swing your umbilical cord around and just plug into other people. You're just an emotional train wreck. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that it needs to be structured. It needs to be orderly. You have to really get your why down and get it nailed down and understand that a lot of people who we're talking to out in the marketplace have seen this magic trick before
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
tired. They're tired. But if you really give them real red meat up front, then they know for a fact that you are the expert. Vegas was built off of free. There's a difference between free that's kind of BS free and free as in I'm here to free you for real. Like I'm here to free your mind. Like you don't have to believe a word I say. Go out here and check it. I don't say that as a gimmick. I say it because it's true. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, do not know how to just sit still and just understand that you're the one that's driving your life. Like you have to understand that you're the one that's driving your life. And when you put that in front, doesn't matter whether you're an employee, self-employed, business owner, or investor, when you wake up in the morning, you have control and responsibility as to what you need to say, what you shouldn't say, how you need to move, how you don't need to move, which is the reasons why, Nathan, we talk about that in the Freedom Ladder on Audience Roadmap. So, Bob, I want you to check in for a second, sir. Are you still here?
Yep. I'm
What are your
listening and
thoughts so
taking
far?
notes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So anybody got any questions or thoughts?
I've been enjoying this conversation, and I'm in my mind thinking of how I can relate to myself. So you had asked, and I took a lot of notes. See, my note pages are full right here. I got 3 pages worth of notes. I don't know, you can't see it. There it is. But so you asked, what result do you want right now? Right. And Nathan said he wants to have more conversations and he wants to identify with people. So the result that I want right now is to actually convert those conversations. The result that I want is a closed transaction. The result that I want is, we've had the conversation and now that person is ready to go to the next step. And so in my instance, it would be, I want to sell a house and I want that transaction to close smoothly. And I want that to be an enjoyable experience. So that's what I want right now. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you said, talk to your former self. Well, in my head, I'm like, well, my former self wouldn't have been able to afford that. My current self still, if I'm just being honest with you, I'm like, I can't afford to buy a new house right now because the market is insane. Now, there was a time where I did buy a house. My former self bought a house. I'm still in that house. And it was during the last financial crisis. We had a crash. 2008 happened. I bought my house in 2010 and it was like the steal for me of my lifetime. And I'm so happy and blessed that I was able to take advantage of that. And perhaps there might be another one coming up. I don't know. So
Okay.
how do I help my former self? Like I'm trying to figure out how would I, I know that I have a lot of skills. I know I have a lot of value. I know I can communicate well with others, but I feel there's still something, there's a piece missing.
Got it. And what you just hit on is a concept called cognitive dissonance. Because here's what I heard out of everything that you just said. The market is insane. Okay. So if the market's insane, aren't there still other people out there buying despite the market being the way that it is, though?
There are.
Now, I'm not sitting here saying that, again, sometimes it is what it is when it comes to what they call opportunity volume, right? So the people who you're currently working with right now, if you think that the market is insane, you could actually be transferring that energy over to them as far as nervous energy goes. Because when I tell you what, when I first started working with millionaires directly, it was a whole different ball game. I'm from the hood, okay? Like, my next door neighbor to the left of me was they sold fish at their store. The neighbor on the right side was hanging out, right? And like it's not the same thing. I was on the bus, I'm from very much humble beginnings, right? And now I'm like, man, wow, I just one call closed and handshook a billionaire. Like I've done that twice in my lifetime. They said, hey, Fred, we trust you, boom, 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 right? How was I able to get to that level of thought and really lop off the other parts of what at one point in time was my A game? It's just a matter of really assessing where you really are and who you are as a human being, but more specifically, having the right environment to support that. Because what happens is sometimes we're always seeking to the point where we'll go down those rabbit holes like we've heard before. And I said, I don't want anybody on my calls going down rabbit holes because they're negative. They're usually on the path, and they'll suck down all your time. You're into somebody else's guru land. They're giving you squirreled information and maybe half truths, half this, half that. And then you start Frankensteining your identity as a result of that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said, look at this kind of stuff as more like a tractor beam, because I've been able to pull myself out the mud. But the problem is not everybody's able to do that. And I didn't do it by myself. That's my point. You always have to have mentorship or invest in mentorship, because even right now, my mentor sold his business. He was doing $365 million a year. You know what I'm saying? So now I talk to him at least once a week. We kind of recalibrate. He gives me some very valuable insights, and I'm able to share that with our community, if that makes sense. So these are the kind of things where we have to really, that's the reasons why community is so important. And this is an open community. Like I expect, like when before back in 2020, when I was really running this, we had over 2,200 people in this community. I just didn't know what else to talk about once the pandemic was over. I was just like, I don't know what like you guys, okay, like I don't like I've never lived like life. It's one of those things where we have to be able to just, at the end of the day, really understand that we're always growing. But it's just like running the bases on a baseball field, going from first base to second base to third base to home plate. You're going to have to take your foot off that plate. Like I'm still cool with people from my original hometown, but we ain't talking about the same things. It's just a different vibration, and it is what it is. It's fine. If people have any questions, I'm still available. One of my guys who I talked to about, I hadn't talked to him in about 5 years. He's in North Carolina doing really, really well, making multiple six figures. He's cool. You follow me? But that came from the mentorship that he had previously to this. That's the reasons why that's so important. Because when you go to talk to other people, you're in a different place of focus. Because let's just say your clients right now are multiple seven-figure earners, because I don't know what their portfolio looks like, right? To them, it may be like, man, look, man, like I'm gonna give you an example before I go into your specific example. Just like when I was selling cars, I did special finance, or called secondary finance, right? So I went specifically after highline people at the last crash. They could no longer afford their Ferrari, so woe was me. I got to go into my G wagon now. You know, they're making 30K a month, and they just filed a BK. They just, they just went bankrupt, right? So it's different levels of who you're talking to, and you're more than qualified to be in those rooms. So let me explain something, because me and Namisha met through Billy Jean's marketing. So let me tell you as an example who was in that room with us that day. You had Billy Jean himself, you had Ed Milet, you had Dean Graziosi, you had Damon John. So if we're in that same room with them, it means we're qualified to be in that room. It doesn't matter whether or not they're on stage and this and that and the other. Some of it's pay to play. Some of it you can have real conversations with, but we're 1 or 2 degrees away, because in the grand scheme of things, that's a larger echo chamber, because some people have never heard of Dean Graziosi. They've never heard of Damon John. They've never heard of Grant Cardone. They've never heard of Billy Jean as marketing. I told you my story with Billy. I didn't know who he was, legit. And then I want to go through his course. He's like, yo, man, your copy's dope. And I'm like, yo, man, I'm quoting you, because I did something to earn that. And then from there, I was legit able to work with his group of people going through Genius Academy for almost a year. So my point is, Namisha, you already have the capability, the wherewithal, and the other things to do that. It's just a matter of consistently having cheerleaders by your side saying, you got this, you're awesome, you are number one. But more specifically, hey, let's look at their situation, instead of you looking at that car and screaming like we talked about the other day. You follow me? Like that's just a mechanism. That's a machine that's going on in your mind that's preventing you from really getting what you want. It's part of that monkey mind that goes on with all of us. I still go through it. You know what I'm saying? So the reality of it is, though, when you're really more outward and thinking about other people's situations, like for example, this one deal that wants to close. Hey, you know what? I'm really curious. I got to make sure. Are you sure that this is the right thing for you? Some people are scared to ask that. It's called a post sale. If you really want to know what the specific term or phrase of it is, after somebody like Bob, I did that one time with one of our clients. Are you sure that you want to do it? Like we had some of the most challenging people on the planet coming through the program. It's like, hey, are you sure that you really want to do this? Like to me, do you really have the time to do this? Like hey, you're doing really well right now, but do you actually have the time? And originally for the first 3 weeks, they had no time to do anything, but they wound up seeing the value of what we did, and then they grew from there, and they wound up having breakthroughs in their business. Same thing with you. It's like, hey, is this transaction really this, and this? Or even if you don't want to take that direction, you can say, hey, you told me this, you told me this, you told me this, you told me this. What's changed since the last time we spoke? Now, if you start doing it that way, you're showing concern, but at the same time, you're making sure that this is still a viable option for them, because they may go, hey, you know what, Namisha, we were thinking about that the other day. We're so glad that you called us. And yeah, we had a question on X, Y, and Z. That's the difference between being proactive versus being reactive. But guess what, guys? All this is still words. Ta-da!
Yeah.
All this still boils down to mindset. Ta-da! We talked about sales, marketing, advertising, promotion, and distribution all in one shot. So the reality of it is that's how this game is played. Cool?
Cool.
Thank
So
you, Fred.
Hey, no worries. Hold on for 1 second, guys. Hey, Nathan, go ahead and say something inspiring to the group.
All right. No, that actually really it really hit. And Namisha, I can chime in and say that's me too. You know, that's that monkey on your mind that, you know, I think a while ago, back in a couple months ago, I was telling Fred about, you know, kind of imposter syndrome and how that can kind of, you know, get into your head and start playing around. Because, you know, Fred tells me I'm awesome every day. I got to be reminded of it, because I don't operate that way. And I remember, I think Bob, we were on that call together. Fred mentioned how we have to can't remember it. It's basically humble brag, and it's so foreign to me, because I'm just not really that guy. Like, I wear this hat mainly just because it's something that I aspire to, not because it's something that I fully operate in when it comes to, you know, EBITDA, business valuation, and then growing businesses. But that's been my passion for the last 3 years. I mean, even since, like, coming out of high school. And so it's been a journey. It's been like a wild ride. But overall, I think that I think we can do it. I think we just kind of have to, you know, put things in order, like Fred was mentioning, when it comes to our mindset and everything, and then just executing on what we're supposed to do.
Cool. So we have all hit the hour, gotten
Yep.
several hits, including me. So I got to run and hit up this next call. But look, guys, most of you are already in the group. Go ahead and share your wins in New Room Collective. Okay, I'm going to put this out. You're going to get the recording, and also I'm going to put it on YouTube as well. So much love. And again, if you already aren't on the autoresponder, go to speedscaling.com, jump in there, because I'm gonna start doing my email blast again starting next week. All right.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right. Sounds good.
Thanks
All right,
so
now.
much.
Good. Thanks, Fred.
All right. Thanks,
Good
guys.
Good luck, everybody. Have a good day.
All right. Talk soon.
Bye.